...2007, all right? Nintendo's really showing off. They're showing like all these... They have a montage of YouTube clips, news reports about the Wii this, the Wii sold that, the Wii he is used in schools, the Wii is used here, it's being used for that.
They were over the world.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. I think. Oh, sorry, I already talked about this a little bit, but that was the era that we were in at that time, and the market shifted towards this casual, and a lot of the focus was on casual and hardcore gamers.
The worst time for me ever, honestly.
Well, yeah. I mean, we got used to being catered to. We were the focus. We were the only child.
Yeah.
And now this, casual gamer child was born, and now it's like, well, we gotta attend to them as well. And
that's when it started, especially with Nintendo, where it'd be like, first we're gonna announce a game that gets you excited, and then you gotta wait for a second, be like, okay, are the controls gonna ruin it?
Mm-hmm.
And thankfully, sometimes it didn't, and then sometimes it's like, oh, like say Mario Galaxy, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, thankfully, all you have to do is point.
Yes.
And like, if nothing else, the Wii was good at pointing.
Control.
Yeah. So it's like great, but then other games, it's
remote.
Like, what was the good? Like, Monkey Ball. I remember Super Monkey Ball, Banana Blitz.
Yeah.
I thought that'd be a natural fit, but
what?
Like,
it didn't work out?
It was okay, like the main game,
mm-hmm.
but then they're like, well, we're also going to stick in 50 mini games that all control like puke.
I've always wanted to try the Wii Fit board.
Oh, I'll tell you this.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have GameCube Monkey Ball with your analog stick.
Yes.
Absolute precision.
Yeah.
Then you have it, I don't know what they did, but when they port to PlayStation 2 and Xbox, they weren't working as good. Like, it's still pretty good, but it's not great.
Mm.
But that's still way better than the Wiimote.
Mm-hmm.
And when I jumped on that balance board, I was missing the Wiimote. So it's just like the controls were just going, dum, 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 and that game demands precision, especially when you get to the harder levels.
Mm.
So it's like, yeah, the balance board, I tried it for a second, and then because there's a Wiimote option, I pulled that out.
Well, yeah, it definitely wasn't, as precise as it could be. They started, they added to that later on, but we started seeing in this time in 2008, people copying the Wii, because it was a revolution. You had all these people who never played video games are now playing video games and buying video games,
and they want a little bit of that pie.
Oh yes, so Xbox got into avatars. They're Mii's,
which are actually, from a design perspective, they're blatant copies, but they're kind of better.
Well, I'm sure
they have like arms and legs and clothes and stuff. Like, you could change their wardrobe.
Yeah.
They were actually just better.
But just to see that blatant copy.
Yeah.
Imagine like Xbox comes up with like this guy who's Italian, and he's got a bigger mustache and a beard now, and he has overalls. And
he has a photorealistic mustache. You can see every follicle.
Yeah, it'd be bad. I remember at this time too, in 2008, Final Fantasy 13 being revealed for the Xbox. It was the first time a Final Fantasy game for a long time.
It was PlayStation for a while.
Yeah, for most of the series.
Once again.
Yeah. So now, yes, for 7 for now. We'll see in the years to come, but probably not. I don't know. But yeah, I just remember that. Oh yeah, Shaun White, 2008, snowboarder. He's promoting this new Wii bouncing board game where you can just jump on that board and start snowboarding.
I just remember his, no offense to Shaun White, I'm sure he's a great guy. I just remember his stupid face.
It's like you're really on a snowboard.
It's like, I know.
Yeah, I don't even go snowboard anymore because it's so amazing. Yeah, you can trust me. My name's on the game. Imagine he's not promoting the game.
Like, he looks so into it, but also not into it at all at the same time.
Oh yeah, it's like, you're not playing that game. It's like, you're on that board, but you're not playing that game. We can tell. So Nintendo, you got the Wii, you got the DS. This is the first time, I think, we heard this term used for games. Iwata said, the first time we're now experiencing evergreen games. And it's like, whoa, what do you mean by that? He's saying we're seeing games that already came out up to 2 years ago being sold still in stores, not like secondhand. Like, they're seeing profits. So it's like people are buying a Wii and buying an old game. And we see that today. You can go into a Walmart.
We can sell the same stuff again and again
every year. Yeah. There's that really funny meme picture. Maybe you can find it. It shows like a Wii, and it's printing out money.
Yeah.
And there's like Wada and Miyamoto like, I print money. Oh, that's great because that's how much they were killing it with all these sales.
But now they figured, it's you don't even need to sell us the games. You just sell subscription to the games, and we just keep paying out till the end of time.
That's the ever since Netflix, that seems to be the way things are going. But yes, evergreen games. That's how big they were. They were selling games. It's funny to think it was unheard of for you to buy a game brand new that was old, that was 2 years old.
Well, they did the Player's Choice for a while. That was like, they kind of had it. That was the same console, though. Yes.
But now you can go to Walmart and you can find Breath of the Wild for the exact same price that someone paid 6 years ago for it.
Yeah.
And that's insane.
Well, they know it'll sell.
Yeah, that's right. So it's we're in a different era. Before, discounted, like here's a deal, we got to sell it. We got to get rid of it. No. Keep it there at the full price.
Mm-hmm. I just bought recently. It was a Mario Day, so it was on sale. But I got Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. But, I mean, that game, when it's not Mario Day, it's regular price.
Mm-hmm.
It's been regular price since Wii U.
Yeah,
not even just Switch. It's been regular price its whole life.
Oh my god,
for 2 generations.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Unlike Sony and Microsoft, Nintendo just keeps that price point, that retail value anyway. Pretty much their first party titles.
Yeah.
So in that same year, I totally forgot in 2007, last year, finished the fight, Halo. We talked a little bit about Halo 3.
Oh, big deal, yeah.
That was huge. That was a big moment in gaming. So you got the Wii, you got Halo 3, you got the DS. You mentioned how in 2008, I was talking about the gamers and non-gamers, the barrier is destroyed. Now, I know it's not completely destroyed, but it's way more accessible. So we've been talking a lot about that. Now, this year was very special, 2008, because we had the wonderful demonstration for the Wii Motion Plus with Wii Sports Resort.
Yep.
And we had an amazing trailer and gameplay for the Wii Music.
Oh,
but before they got the whole band out, they had this guy, Ravi, comes on stage. Doo-dum, doo-dum, doo-dum. That is immortalized. I think I watched that live, and I was laughing my face off because
it's like seared into your brain now.
Oh my god! And it doesn't look like it connected. Like, he's doing a good job. Like, if you try to do what he did on that, good luck.
Well, he's Ravi.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he's a professional drummer, but it was just, you got to watch it to kind of understand.
Wasn't it kind of like an awkward silence too? Not like people aren't going to cheer over this guy performing, but I remember it being very silent.
Well, there's something about just
he's alone on stage with
wagging his controller and nunchuck, and so then you think that's it, and it's like no, get the others, get the others. So you got all these people playing the Wii music and they're moving around, having fun. Oh yeah, we're playing music. It's like we got
they're exchanging joyous glances.
Oh yeah, it's so. Mind you, the game isn't too bad. I bought it for $2. What happened years
got
after
ripped
it
off
came
me.
out?
I got mine for $1.
Oh well, I played it today. It was worth every penny.
Mine sits in my collection next to Wii Sports and Wii. What's the other one called? Wii Play.
And Wii Play, yeah.
Just the branding. I like to see the symmetry in the spines. I have no intention of ever playing it.
Oh, you should give yourself a treat. It's actually not too bad. Yeah, it's a
treat yourself
to Wii Music. Yeah, like I'm serious. It's actually not too bad, but the way they were demonstrating at E3 was absolutely ridiculous.
I'd say I have no sense of rhythm or melody, but I'm not sure they did either on stage.
Oh, it was atrocious. I mean, and that was, again, like, we're getting this era where it cringe.
Misery.
Like, the Wii was big, but then I think they started to keep milking it. And after this is where, like, it's not hitting it at E3s anyway as much as it did, I think the next year they started appeasing to the hardcore gamers a little bit, but they talked about Mario Galaxy 2 and Metroid Other M in 2009.
Other M, yeah.
Yeah, Other M. It looked very exciting.
At a glance, it's like, third person Metroid action adventure. Ain't no one saying no to that. But
remember me?
Yeah. Yeah, that was funny. But like nobody For those who don't know, that was part of the trailer. Just some random black dude going, "Remember me?"
Yeah, his mask goes up,
we've never seen you before. Why would we remember you? Maybe one day we'll play the game and we'll know his significance.
Maybe we should play that. I've never played that game before.
I'll give it a try. Like, obviously, it's probably not as bad as its reputation suggests.
Probably
Very
not.
rarely is that the case.
But it probably would. No Metroid Prime.
This is coming off the heels of like Metroid Prime 3, which may not be as well regarded as the first one, but it's a classic in its own right.
E3 2009, continuing on here. Beatles Rock Band was revealed. Kind of the answer to the Wii Music, maybe.
That's exciting for some people.
Oh, yeah, I bet. Beatles are huge.
We're sure it is.
Yep. I imagine it is. Tony Hawk skateboard, this peripheral that you buy that doesn't have wheels. It's just a board that looks like a skateboard, and you sit on that and you play it. And
I recognize that as the dusty thing on an old shelf at Computers for Kids week after week. It's a place I would go to buy things, and it just there's sometimes games there, and accessories, and there's basically just tons of original Xboxes, like old original Xboxes, and that stupid Tony Hawk board in its original box, obviously like water damaged and aged. And that thing never moved. Like most of these giant peripherals. This actually was it was the age of like motion controls, but also giant, worthless peripherals.
Yeah, we're not talking too much about Sony here, but Modern Warfare 2, that was a big deal. ODST, Halo 3 ODST. Reach, got a little teaser for that. That was very exciting. And then they introduced Kinect. It was like nothing but Kinect games, I think.
Yeah, I remember that being difficult to sit through.
Oh, it was so funny. There's a game they were playing, and the guy, someone's playing the game live during the demonstration, and the announcer saying, this is getting you up out of the couch, moving your whole body, unlike some games where you just have to waggle the controller around,
Throwing shade.
Yep.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of, that competition was still there between all the consoles. This is the same year where PlayStation 3 announced the camera and move peripherals, basically an advanced Wiimote. But this is years after. So
that's kind of like what I was talking about the avatars, though, where like the move on a technical sense is superior to the Wii. Like it's more responsive. And I know my sister was really into it. She bought like 6 or 7 of those stupid controllers in case they start breaking even. It's like she was really into it.
Wow.
So I know there was a market for that. It was maybe more niche than they were hoping, because most people on the platform probably were there because they didn't want to do motion controls.
Well, and more expensive as well.
Yeah.
You might have been able to buy a whole Wii than just those two controllers. And you needed the camera, so there was a lot that wasn't as user friendly. You couldn't. Grandma might be able to figure out the Wii, the Move. Ooh, she might need some help.
I remember certain multi-platform motion games, because I remember they say like, Just Dance or whatever dance game we were talking about is best on Xbox with Kinect.
Yeah.
But then like there's like Fruit Ninja kind of games with the Move that were better. Like every system's motion control solution had its own advantages.
Yes, but they never reached the same height in popularity and I think in sales as the Wii did.
Possibly because one, it had already been done by the Wii, so it's kind of like us too. But also, I feel like Nintendo's the only one that went all in on it, right?
Yeah, they did it as a sideshow. Like, if you want, even Xbox 360 came like, here's this other Xbox that came with Kinect as well, like a black, slimmer Xbox 360, and it came with Kinect Adventures or something like that. So they were, if you want that, you can buy that Xbox. If you're somebody else, well, you might already have one. And then this is also where they introduced Milo. Milo's like this AI computer child who was supposed to be able to remember your name and talk to you like a real person. They used this demonstration.
It was creepy.
Yeah, it was like, who are you fooling here? You think this is where we're at? Like we're not even at that yet now.
You're getting close.
We're aware. I'm aware of anyway.
Watch them. Well, again, there's no E3, but I think there's a Microsoft conference very soon, and it's like, well, there's Milo 2, or actually the original Milo Next Generation announced. Any day now.
Oh. What? For real?
No.
I'm scared. I don't want to say anything bad about Milo.
Well, yeah, Milo is currently listening.
Yeah,
he's somewhere in the digital nether.
Well, hopefully he is.
He's waiting for his
merciful,
body.
Right? Yeah. Gosh. All right. So we're almost done here. We're at 2010 Halo Reach. They showed the beach level.
The beach level. it feels tailor-made for an E3 demo, but it's actually in the game.
Yeah.
And it's every bit as awesome as it looked at E3.
Yep.
I remember I was so sold on that.
Yep. Music was there. It was, I don't even know if I watched that presentation or not live, but watching it now, it gives me chills. It's great.
Oh, yeah. Like going into space. I kind of hate that part of the game, but like at the time, it's like, whoa, space combat.
Yeah.
Like, what a reveal.
Yeah, it was a way to get you pumped.
And I believe at that time we were aware that it was to be Bungie's last Halo.
Mm-hmm.
So it did have kind of a bittersweetness to it too. Like, oh, we better enjoy this while it lasts.
Yeah, it was to be the last Halo made, as far as we're aware.
At least under Bungie, because Microsoft was very adamant about keeping it.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't sure what form it would take. I'm sure we'll talk about that soon.
Now, I made a mistake. This is the actual year where they showed during the Xbox conference all these Kinect games. So it was like Kinect was going hard that year.
So Kinectimals?
Yeah, Kinectimals was in there. Portal 2 was announced.
Where's Solo Han Solo, man?
Oh, yeah. I'm Han Solo. Han Solo. Oh, gosh. Man. Like, you can clearly see this is for the casual gamers or a different audience. Maybe there's some hardcore gamers that liked it. But clearly it wasn't for the veteran gamers. They weren't looking for Dance Central with Han Solo.
It did have
probably
a motion-controlled Rancor Rampage, I believe.
Yes,
I do own that game, or do I? I will own that game to play that. I do want to try that one day.
Okay, fair enough.
Wait, don't you
amusing?
own it?
No, I don't have a Kinect.
No, I have a Kinect. Do you have a Star Wars Kinect?
No.
Oh.
No.
I guess you wouldn't if you didn't have a Kinect.
No, man, I don't have that. No,
the way you say that makes it seem like you do. You just don't want to admit it.
No, I don't. But this is a big one for Nintendo. Shigeru Miyamoto comes on stage. Skyward Sword demo. He's in the
beginning of the end of Nintendo at E3.
Yes, because it went terribly.
Yeah.
They're demonstrating how the motion controls work, and they're not quite working. And Link's getting hurt by this plant monster, and
it's called a Deku Baba. Yeah.
Oh.
I might be putting an unnecessary amount of accent on that. Deku Baba. And some people might say Deku.
Yeah.
It's a tomato kind of situation.
Yeah, but we know you're talking.
But yeah, the basic, for those who haven't seen, that it just was some dude's playing it. It's not doing well.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Miyamoto shows up. I'll show you how it's done. The creator of the game is there in person.
Yeah. And there's something about Shigeru Miyamoto because, he created Mario.
He's mythical.
Donkey Kong, Pikmin, and Legend of Zelda. So he's like a celebrity in gaming. He's just cool. He's hot, so if he's there, it's like this. We wouldn't see him anywhere else, I don't think, back then. I mean, we got now the Mario movie. There was things.
Where you saw not to go too much of a tangent, but it's hilarious to see like the red carpet interviews where like everyone's like all on Chris Pratt and Jack Black and Anya Taylor-Joy, and you see like Miyamoto just like sulking in the corner. He's happy to be there, I'm sure, but like no one really sees him paying. Like the media doesn't seem to care what he thinks.
Yes,
even though he's like the reason everyone's there.
Worlds collide.
So yeah, so Skyward Sword though, like we got Miyamoto comes out, I'll show you how it's done.
Yeah.
And it proceeds to work no better for him, which is obviously not part of the script.
Yep.
And then his handler like turns over to the audience, like, hey, turn off your cell phones. I think there's interference.
Interfering.
And then I remember people, like the news outlets would report from the show floor where because they'd say, oh, go, for all you in the audience, go play on the show floor. You'll see.
Yeah.
And they said, it's a bit better.
Yeah.
It's definitely not as bad as they made it look, but it was an embarrassing moment for sure.
2010 also had Donkey Kong Country Returns revealed, which was a big thing back then because one, we wouldn't have ever thought that franchise would ever return. Plus, on the Wii, which is not really a hardcore gamer's console. It's not where
you would picture that, yeah.
Yeah, you would think maybe on the Switch, or back on the GameCube.
Well, it's definitely a thing too. You gotta remember, Donkey Kong Country hadn't existed since Super Nintendo, or if you're being generous, Nintendo 64. Like Donkey Kong 64 was in that universe, even though it was definitely closer to a Banjo-Kazooie in terms of gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
So really, we hadn't played a game like that since like Donkey Kong Country 3 at the very end of Super Nintendo.
Yeah, it was a nice feeling.
Yeah.
And now you're like, oh, I'm glad I have a Wii.
Well, that's definitely that was maybe a top 3 Wii game for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm trying to think of it was Mario Galaxy, that, and Skyward Sword would be there if it didn't suck.
And talking more and focus on the theme of E3, you wouldn't know that was coming.
Mm-hmm.
it would be a big surprise, unless you knew somebody from the industry and rumors. Like we always have leaks. There was probably leaks back then.
Yeah.
But you didn't know for certainty. And then boom, here it is, along with all these other announcements.
Well, that's the magic too, is it's when something you never thought in a million years would happen, or something you didn't even know you wanted to happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, wow, there it is. And like, not much can match that thrill. And I know that sounds incredibly nerdy because it is.
Well, yeah.
But it's true.
It is. And we kind of gotten accustomed to that year after year after year, expecting that we're going to get something. Something's coming, something big,
When that's what it is, E3 would always be like such a grab bag. It's either like it's firing all cylinders.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what you're going to buy because there's so many games. Like, how am I going to have time to play all this? And in other years, it's like, oh man, I wasn't expecting much, but I expected more than that.
Well, yeah, we would listen to commentators after the E3s where they'd be like, well, for Nintendo, it's pretty weak this year, right? Oh, man,
it was always
that many
who
games.
won E3.
Yeah, it was
that
a
would always be
competition.
after, yeah,
there's a competition still between the three. So that always has.
It's like Nintendo's being compared whether they like it or not.
Yeah, even though they've tried to separate themselves from the other two consoles. This is also where we got the trailer for the 3DS, where it shows Iwata getting sucked into the 3DS, and then Miyamoto gets sucked into the 3DS, and then there's Reggie picks up the 3DS and sees Bowser chasing them. He's like, and then the Bowser pops out of the 3DS and starts blowing fire on him.
Because it's 3D.
Because, it's like it's right in your face.
Yeah.
And it was so cool because that's where I think it began. You started to see these three figures together.
That's a big deal, yeah.
Yeah, and I think this is also...
Is that the women?
Yeah, this is the women. This is where all the 100 women with a strap connected to the 3DS.
Well, heaven forbid someone steal a 3DS, right?
Yeah.
You gotta chain them to these people. If you want that 3DS, you gotta steal her too.
Yep.
And it's like...
No problem.
It's such a cool idea. It's like, they knew they couldn't do it justice in video, so their big thing was always like, well, here, look for yourself. Here comes in the audience. And granted... You might argue you'd never get away with that today, having it strapped to exclusively attractive women with exposed midriffs.
Yeah.
Little bit, maybe.
Oh, I don't think it was exposed
Wasn't
midriffs. No.
Maybe I'm imagining it.
No.
I was a teenager at the time.
You weren't able to say their belly button. No, they're not. No, I think it was they had, I think, some type of
They look
skirt.
good.
Well, yeah, they look nice and professional. And they all kind of came after the presentation, like throughout into the audience. It was pretty showy, but you had to kind of see the 3DS for yourself.
I actually remember a little bit of a tangent, but kind of relevant. I remember, I don't know if it was Reggie or somebody from Nintendo brought the 3DS to, I believe it was Jimmy Fallon.
Okay.
Like
Really?
a late night
Back then,
show,
eh?
right? Yeah. And I remember like Jimmy Fallon, like they handed to him to show him because he'd have to relay to the audience. He's like, oh my God, you did it. You really did it. It's like so cringe.
It's like, did they?
But again, it's always interesting seeing the Nintendo executives or representatives like in this world of like Hollywood or like more mainstream, right?
Well, yeah, because it's kind of like when they interact with mainstream, it's sort of like video games are interacting with mainstream.
Legitimizes it.
It's kind of like, I don't know, the feeling you get when someone who doesn't play video games is watching you playing a video game. It's like, I wonder what they think, Like gamers see things that most people don't ever or will never see or hear or experience.
Yeah, most of my elders will never experience the land of Hyrule.
No.
They have no idea what that is or care.
Yeah.
And maybe they're better off for it. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know. But I mean, it's
depends on how much
special.
of the land of Earth they've seen by comparison. Because I could say I've seen a lot more Hyrule than Earth at this point.
Well, not everyone is fortunate or like, but yeah. Anyway, cut that out. I'm stuttering here. 2011, E3 2011. More Connect.
Get off it already.
Oh, there was this one. This is where there was a really good cringe here. There's these two guys playing football, and they're playing Connect football. And they're like, all right, man, we're going to do this strategy, right? Yep. I'll see you in the end zone. He was like, I'm the quarterback. Okay. It's like, you don't need to do all that. You really don't need to do all that. And then they're just so pumped. They're excited. Like, yeah, touchdown. Woo!
That's what's going to happen when you buy the game, bring it home. That's how you're going to enjoy it.
Oh, gosh. Wow. Like, I can't imagine anyone feeling that way.
Honestly,
that,
a lot of these demonstrations, too, they take place on this giant stage, right?
Yeah, we can see them.
Well, you know what? When I play this at home, I'm going to be in, like, my living room, which is, like, I can barely stretch my arms out without hitting something, right?
Oh, yeah. It was just like...
motion controls definitely had like a lot of drawbacks if you didn't do them right. Like very few games I think really pulled it off. Like this actually amplifies this experience.
Well,
Generally, it was at best tolerable.
Yeah, there were some games there's some games I legitimately like a lot on the Wii, like WarioWare Wii did really good. Trauma Center games. There were some that really utilized it, while others were just like, here's our game and it's on the Wii, you know, and it does.
There was also the era of like, oh man, you can play Dead Space on Xbox 360 or PS3, or you can play Dead Space Extraction, this rail shooter spinoff, which I've actually heard isn't bad. The general idea being like the Wii always got the lesser version, like it had to be its own game because it's so incapable of running the main, like the real game.
I remember being so excited for Star Wars: The Force Unleashed. I bought it for the Xbox 360 and the Wii.
Wow.
I'm like, what the heck was wrong with me back then? But I was starting to make money. I'm like, yeah, I love this. Play on the 360, amazing game. Play on the Wii. I'm like, oh, that's why I wanted to play on the Wii. There was a battle of 1v1 fighter mode in the game. It was like, that's sweet. Ooh, I immediately was upset. Like it sucked. The graphics looked terrible. It was just, So you had to be very picky with your Wii games because the quality was not equivalent throughout the.
It's almost always like if it's exclusive for Wii, it's probably got a better chance of not sucking.
Yeah, definitely. Like the real ones are on the real versions on Xbox and PlayStation. So here's a big one still, 2011 Halo 4 reveal.
Oh yeah.
Now this one was just the one where Master Chief is like waking up, gets out of the pod,
everything's
flies
exploding.
Out. Yeah, and we're analyzing everything. Oh, look at that gun! It's not a pistol. It's something. It's a sticky grenade launch. The Wii U was revealed.
But with Halo 4, I remember that being like too soon. Like I kind of thought like, oh, Halo hadn't been gone long enough. Like it didn't. Like I know a lot of people are very excited about, but I was kind of just happy with if they gave me another like spin-off with different characters. I felt like, wake me when you need me. It's like, maybe 20 years from now we'll see Chief again. Right? But here he is. We need you, Chief. Get up. It's like, oh gosh, it just went down.
Well, to be fair, I'm looking at this now. This reveal is about 4 years after Halo 3.
Yeah, but you got to remember, Halo 5 was like 6 years to Halo Infinite.
Yeah, we were waiting.
And Chief was there the whole time. He never said he was gone.
So he was... Listen, we got a video
when he was here, he was gone longer. I'm not trying to words. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand. Kind of.
Yeah, we do have a Halo Infinite video, probably either soon to be available or already available.
Yeah, so make sure to check our channel if you want to watch that. You will maybe be... it's controversial. You've been warned. So Wii U revealed the tech demos. The Wii U is pretty exciting because like this controller, it was really kind of not cringy, but just like worrying when I'm watching the E3 presentation and Reggie's on stage talking about the Wii this, Wii that, and he's saying you, but we want to make sure that you have your own way to play, and that's why we call it Wii U.
Big mistake.
Big mistake.
Because people can no one knows for sure why it failed, but a lot of people can kind of narrow it down to the name being too similar, the initial video not really showing the console itself. Some people are like, is it an add-on? And then also like, a big chunk of your audience is grandma. And it's like, hey, grandma, you want the new Wii? It's like, no, I got a Wii at home.
I'm happy with that.
What do I need a new one for?
Yeah.
What's a Wii U?
Well, this one comes with a gamepad. And you can play a game where you use the gamepad and only you can see certain things on the gamepad, right? And but your friends can use the TV and they can see differently than what's on the gamepad. So then...
Now that video though,
it was fun, but trying to explain that it took a while. Like, okay, sit down. This is how the game works.
Wii U was out for about 3 or 4 years, and I still didn't really see the appeal of it, honestly. So I don't know how to explain one trailer. But I will say that trailer has an interesting thing in it, lost to history almost. Is so way back in the day, Nintendo. It might have been between E3s though. I think it was like 99. Anyway, Nintendo had a Space World that was their own presentation of games, and they showed. This was when they first started showing GameCube games. They showed Link fighting Ganondorf in a realistic art style.
Yeah.
Reminiscent of Ocarina of Time, right?
Yeah.
And that was such an amazing moment for Zelda fans because, like, wow, look what the next era of Zelda's going to look like. And it ended up being Wind Waker instead, right? Which is why the Twilight Princess reveal was ultimately so exciting.
Yes.
And history basically repeated itself with this Wii U trailer because they showed Twilight Princess Link in glorious HD battling Goma.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
And it's like, wow, that's what the next Zelda's going to look like. This is it looked like when people do like Unreal Engine Zelda games.
Yes.
It looked like that, but like on the system. I could not wait for that. So when they finally showed Breath of the Wild for the first time, thankfully that art style still looks good in its own right. So it wasn't quite such a letdown. But to me, those two events, and I kind of forgot about the Wii U one until we started kind of saying, well, let's talk about E3s. And I'm like looking up a few videos here and there. I was like, oh shit, yeah, like I totally forgot about that awesome Zelda trailer.
Oh,
because it doesn't exist.
Yeah, it's not real, but that's what you do to get people hyped, you know. And at that point, like half the audience there might be fans of video games, you know, now that we're in the 2000s.
Yeah.
You know, and all you gotta do, just show Zelda. That'll get them excited. You know,
because the rest of the trailer,
it
was like, oh, here's new Super Mario Brothers Wii U, which like it looked exactly like the Wii one. And it's like, here's some Wii Fit thing, some Wii Sports thing. Nothing really like, at least for me, nothing was like sticking out. But then it's like, here's Zelda. Oh shit.
Yeah. So again, you know, this is the place where you would get these reveals.
Yeah.
You know? I remember working and thinking about when E3 was coming out and like looking at the schedule, because you would go online and you would see like what days which companies were presenting and at what time zone and at what times. And I would purposely try to get there and watch it immediately as it's being broadcasted live. And they would address the live audience. It was a world event. We started getting things like world premiere, you know, like here it is.
Some people, our friend would take work off, which I mean, I don't blame him. I wish I could, right? And I remember for me, it was like, I knew I'd be stuck at work because it's always during the day. And I knew if I went home to look up the E3 presentation, I'd see on YouTube all the different trailers and it just kind of ruined the experience. So I would tell him to like Facebook me the link for the whole presentation as soon as it's available. So I could come home and just watch it blind.
The natural.
And I find that hilarious because it's literally just like a stream of commercials. So, oh man, I can't have these commercials ruined. I have to experience them fresh. But that's the magic of it, right?
Yeah, it was just, you know, it's like watching the game as opposed to just reading about what happened, the results.
I guess so, yeah.
Like that.
Though granted, with like PlayStation, I probably would just usually watch the trailers.
Well, yeah.
I was less interested in games I wasn't going to own anyway.
Yeah. This is when I started getting worried about Nintendo in this time. They had this tech demo where it showed like this bird flying near this pond and this Japanese style castle. And then Reggie afterwards is saying, wasn't that a beautiful tech demo? And I remember saying to myself, like, that wasn't that good. So, yeah. But that Zelda one, yeah, that was pretty impressive.
But that's like Nintendo's first like foray into like HD though. So like, everyone else has already been there for a while, but I still get the thrill of like seeing Nintendo games in HD. It's like, here's like Animal Crossing, New Horizons. It's in HD, it looks amazing, but compared to Xbox and PlayStation, it doesn't really.
But it's what you want in high fidelity. So we haven't gotten that. Next year, 2012, Last of Us trailer. I remember the crowd going wild, and to think 10 years later, or maybe 13. I don't know.
I still haven't played it.
Well, we still haven't played it. Maybe we'll play it one day. But now they're having a live TV show. It's relevant. It's just kind of cool to watch.
An amazing TV show, might I add.
Yes, I've heard.
It's brilliant, right? Because you have this very narrative-based game. They are confident in their story. And they knew that a certain amount of the population percentage would never play the game. But since it's such a linear cinematic story to begin with, great, we can expose it to a whole new audience. So then next season they can disappoint a whole new audience as well.
And then they can buy the remastered version.
They're on like the third or fourth remaster at this point. Yeah.
But it's cool to see and witness where that first hint of gameplay was. You know, the crowd roaring and getting excited about this game. That was always something I found really exciting.
Especially something new that's not a sequel to something. It's like a new IP.
Yeah, Naughty Dog very much with Sony. In terms of, that's a Sony exclusive. You're not playing on an Xbox. Maybe
PC now, though. PC.
Oh, PC. Oh, okay. Halo. Now, this is our Halo 4 E3 trailer with the Infinity. I love this trailer. You're seeing live action actors getting on the Infinity. They're talking about this big speech about how the UNSC is sending off a vessel for peace, but they get pulled in the planet. And then they start showing gameplay from Halo 4. And then they also tag at the very end that dun, 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 trailer. You know, really excited to see Halo.
That one got me pumped.
Oh, yeah. Like, there's some trailers that came out initially at E3 that just even today it's like, wow,
You just think about
that's
it still.
exciting.
Yeah.
You know, they did a great job about hype. It was the hype train. You know, you get on there and
One for me like
yeah.
that is I always think of the Resident Evil 7 E3 trailer when they first showed like, you know, because we were at 6 was ridiculous over the top action.
Yeah.
7 was like kind of a creepy first person back to survival horror. And this awesome, like it almost sounded like a children's song, but like amped up.
Yeah.
And just crazy imagery of like decomposing dogs and like time-lapse sunsets and all this just creepy ass shit.
Yeah.
It's, oh man, like at the time I wasn't as pumped, but I always think of it. It's like it was such a moment for Resident Evil, and it's just such a great trailer. It's a work of art, honestly.
I feel that way with the Kojima games, like Metal Gear Solid 4 and Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yeah.
I haven't played those games. Will one day. They feel like you're watching this cinematic, like this huge movie.
It's like a huge deal, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Like, it's very important. And it's just the music they play and the imagery. It's a work of art. And it's like, you know, it's so cool. Like, wow, you want to get pumped, you watch some E3 stuff. You know? What else do we got here from 2012? Oh, let's take one more walk through Nintendo Land.
One more look at Nintendo Land.
We remember it as one more look, but I listened to it. He says, let's have one more walk through Nintendo Land. But I'll just keep on saying.
Well, because that's the great thing is it's like they announced this underwhelming pack-in game and say, okay, well, at least that's over with. And Nintendo would always end with a big bang of a release. It's always like, we got one more thing for you.
Yeah, Zelda or Metroid.
And it's like, it's not that Nintendo Land is disappointing. It's we'd already seen Nintendo Land. And that's your big thing is one last look at it, walk through it.
Do I have to remind you, there was, 12 different games you could play on it? 12 games in one. Whoa!
And I remember it was like scraping the bottom barrel. It's like, oh, they take place in those Nintendo universes. So it's kind of like you're playing Pikmin or Zelda, but not really.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
Well, we can talk about that in lots of depth later. It's not the Nintendo Land video.
But this is also where we got the quote, together, better.
Really?
Yeah.
I could have swore that was sooner.
Nope, that's where it came from. It was
that's
pretty
right
cool.
up there with touching is good.
Yeah. Touching is good. Yeah, and they had the little fireworks at the end.
Very underwhelming.
Oh, yeah, it was bad. That was like, that wasn't good. 2013, around this time, this was the first Nintendo Direct that they started showing. From moving forward, Nintendo would kind of be showing stuff throughout the year. E3 was not as big as it used to be. It wasn't like where you would get everything.
There became the E3 Direct was generally the biggest one, but their focus was spread it across the year.
Yeah.
They might save a couple big bangers, but for the most part, you might just get a huge announcement in like December.
So the E3 excitement and hype started to diminish a little bit because now you're not getting all the information at that time of the year. You're getting it throughout the year.
And that's sowing the seeds of our current predicament, I would say.
Now, that one, 2013, first Nintendo Direct, Super Smash Bros. Wii U, they talked about it, but before they had a Smash Direct, which was not at E3. So, yeah, like we started to see more information come out throughout the year. I remember the GTA 5 trailer into 2014. That stood up for me. You just see all this stuff happening, cars driving around, people doing their daily thing, and it's like people still playing it today. That's where it started.
I think we're just on the cusp of hearing about GTA 6, maybe.
Really?
I think there's rumors abound. It's like the most expensive game of all time to develop.
Oh my gosh.
Which, I mean, if it lasts the next 20 years, I guess it's a good investment.
Yeah, because this one, oh my gosh, I lost where I am here. Oh, 10 years are going on. A little over 10 years. So, yeah, for that one. Master Chief Collection was announced.
A lot of promise.
Lots of promise. If you like the campaign, you're fine.
Yeah, I always felt like I got my money's worth because I'd paid full price for the Halo Combat Evolved remake, and I was very pleased with that. So I paid about the same price for Halo 2 remake. That part of the game did function more or less.
Yeah, that was very exciting. A whole remake of Halo 2.
It was just, I remember it was disappointing waiting in the matchmaking lobby for hours. I don't know why I waited so long for a game. I'd go do something else, come back.
Well,
no game yet.
We were waiting. Now, this was huge. Going on that whole train of like the 3DS trailer with the three, Reggie, Iwata, Miyamoto. You have now this digital event for E3 with Robot Chicken collaboration.
Oh, yeah.
Where you have Reggie go on stage and talk about Mother 3 from someone in the audience. And it's very much the Robot Chicken, humor, but it's for the E3 conference. And it's legit.
weird direction for Nintendo to take.
Yes.
With their family-friendly image.
Yeah, so they're really like throwing themselves out there, getting a lot of attention, really separating themselves. It was nothing like any of the other presentations.
To be honest, I gotta Google that. I don't remember it
We're
all.
we're gonna watch that.
I'm sure when I see it, I'll remember. Just a lot of this stuff, like you don't really remember till you see it.
Yeah, and then the other part was also that big Iwata versus Reggie fight.
Yeah, I remember that.
Oh, that was just. I can't even like compare it to something else on.
Frankly,
how awesome that was.
It shouldn't exist. It's so weird. But it did the trick.
It's just, it's like Bill Gates getting a boxing match with like Donald Trump or something. It's like
it is like, interesting how,
but you would want this for some reason.
But isn't it interesting how Sakurai has no trouble getting on camera, but you've never seen him mugging around like that, like the other guys.
Sakurai?
Yeah, the creator of Smash Bros.
Yeah, but
you always see him on camera, but he has never joined in the madness.
No, in E3 he didn't really have much of a presence until Ultimate. I would say a little bit. Really Ultimate. His face really seemed to come out.
But he comes on as like a developer, as the creator of Smash Bros.
Yes.
He obviously has a sense of humor in his own like videos he does. Mm-hmm. But he's never become like a cartoon character like Miyamoto, Iwata, and Reggie, you know?
No, he hasn't. He never seemed like the face of Nintendo. Maybe that's because, he started his own company, Sora Unlimited. And those guys were in it,
Unless like Iwata was like, I got this great idea, Sakurai. We're going to fight in this E3 trailer. And he's like, how about no? It's like, Reggie, I got this great idea.
It's like, my body's ready for the fight. And they also introduced Amiibos back then. We're going on over 10 years of Amiibos.
They've slowed to a trickle, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I always thought they were cool collectibles, but they've kind of escaped that. I feel like the price has gone up, and there's been less of them. So it's more like buying like a special edition statuette as opposed to like, its original Toys to Game function.
Yeah, the Toys to Life. I wonder how that's going to fare like in the next 10 years. Are those things going to still be around? Do people even want them? Are they just going to be shovelware?
Well,
with some,
I think they'll maintain their value because they are, a lot of them were pretty limited runs.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember I had to like pre-order an Amiibo and then like the store was like, well, you might not get it. So I'd like basically put my name down for the opportunity to maybe buy an Amiibo. I was like, what is this? It's a chunk of plastic.
You know what's lovely is those yarn Yoshi Amiibos.
Oh, yeah.
Those are adorable.
Incredible.
Yeah, I love that. Like
and they knew it. That's why it's all different colors, all different sizes. There's 2 sizes plus Poochie.
That giant one. And Poochie's expensive.
Yeah, I imagine.
That is Poochie.
I drew the line at 1 green Yoshi because I did want one, but I can't collect the whole set. It's insane.
Oh, why not?
I have every Animal Crossing Amiibo, though.
2015, we had the awesome Nintendo Muppet Star Fox thing.
Very weird.
I love that. It was just so cool. It was so neat. It was so funny. It was so just like, what am I watching? This is for real.
I almost wish, because that's very much akin to it's calling back to the original art style of the game. Like obviously the original game is very like polygonal, but all the promotional artwork was just like, look like pictures of puppets.
Well, the Japanese box art for Super Nintendo Star Fox actually had the puppets.
So it would have been cool if like that kind of signified like, hey, this game is going to have that visual style. Ooh. Like if it was like, HD graphics used to recreate the puppet look.
Imagine like for another game that comes out? Oh,
that'd be a cool art style to tackle. As long as the game's not like ass, right?
Yes.
I mean, I don't know. I've never played the game. I've heard bad things.
I want to play it because it looked, when I was watching the trailer, I'm like, this should be good. But I haven't been the craziest Star Fox fan ever.
That description, this should be good, has applied to every Star Fox game. And they haven't been good since 64.
You know what's so sad is I think I looked up the stats for all the sales collectively of every Star Fox game. And it's something like 6 million.
Yeah.
And then I look up you look up any other, it's like, well, how much did Mario Kart Deluxe sell? Oh, 40 million copies or something.
It's closer to 60. They just released numbers for everything. Like
really?
Some of these games are through the roof.
Well, it's just, we're reaching a totally different time than has been before, because in the past, it was such a niche market. If you sold a couple million copies, it was like a big deal. Now it's like pennies. Like it's nothing. Some games are not being released because that's not good enough. We need to hit the double digit of million copies sold. So
Oh, now we've moved into live service. Let's make money constantly off one game. We don't really care if you buy the game; you can have it for free. We just want to sell you like cosmetics and battle passes and stuff.
Yeah, and that we could have a whole another discussion on that, on how that's changed.
Oh yeah, it's such a big topic.
But E3, if you look back, it kind of tells the history from a certain standpoint of video game as an industry.
It's a yearly snapshot of where we're at.
Yeah,
which we no longer really have.
I guess the biggest last thing I want to talk about was in 2018. Everyone is here. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. For me,
this guy's a big Smash Bros. fan.
I'm a big Smash Bros. fan. This guy, not so much anymore.
That was exciting.
Yeah, but I mean, like the hype was just through the roof. I think that was so exciting because, like, in the trailer, it was like, oh, Mario's back. Okay, he's back. We're back. And then they show Snake, and it's like everyone. What are you talking about?
We
Pichu.
mean it. You know?
And yeah, so
Young
just
Link.
What a a joy that was, like, during that event. It's really cool. But by that time, Microsoft had talked about Xbox One a few years ago outside of E3. Nintendo has been doing directs outside of E3. And, once the pandemic hit and it was canceled that year, you start to, see that E3 was not that big of a deal anymore.
Well, it's also, I feel like as we grew older, we maybe became more cynical or picky about what we get excited about. Mm-hmm. I remember when I was a kid, pretty much anything in Nintendo Power I wanted to play, aside from like sports games. But like for the last couple of years, I remember sitting through the Xbox and the Sony presentations and even Nintendo's to a degree and being like, oh, these games all look fine. I'm just not interested in them. And that became more prevalent for me, especially in the last maybe 4 or 5 years. Maybe like I'm bitter and cynical and old, or maybe it's just gaming's not what I want it to be anymore.
I think I would agree with that. The last statement you made there, like especially because we for those who have grew up with games throughout the decades, they have a different perspective than people who were just born 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and then they started from where they were at. We see how far things have gone, then came down, then went up again. So there's sort of like an ebb and flow of development. It's not always progressive.
Yeah, those kids, they love their Marvel films. We want a good old-fashioned John Wayne Western, right?
Yeah, that could be
it's like, that doesn't mean the Marvel film is worse than John Wayne Western. They often are. But it's just, you grew up with something. Like when they announced Pikmin 4, I was very excited just because, hey, there's no cutscene craziness. It just shows the gameplay. It's like, it looks like a game I'm going to like. I can picture myself playing it from this footage.
Well, what they didn't share with you was that there's a lot of politics involved in the Pikmin universe now.
That's absolutely fine.
And there's actually like, there's staff meetings and you have to select what mission and who and their stories and background. No, I doubt it's going to go there. But the industry has changed.
Yeah,
definitely. And, I don't think E3 is as relevant anymore because E3 in and of itself was made to promote the industry. There is no need to promote video games anymore. They're already within public consciousness. They're already desirable. They're already part of what is entertainment to so many people. So to create this whole spectacle and get people excited about, they're already going to get excited. So it's almost like there's no need to do that anymore.
Well, and even like I said, it made sense for it's more practical for everyone to just have their separate events where it's all like pre-filmed, nothing's going to go wrong, there's nothing embarrassing unless, if it's embarrassing, they know it's going to be embarrassing because they filmed it. It's not something happens on stage wrong.
Yeah, we don't get live.
It's safer from the company's point of view. It's a more professional, safer environment to demonstrate what they're doing. It makes sense in every way. I liken it to rental stores. Younger kids will never appreciate the joy of going to a Blockbuster and renting that brand new game, but they'll never have to worry about going to Blockbuster and not getting the brand new game and having to go back home in the rain empty-handed because the game was rented out. So it's like E3 definitely had its own appeal, its own thrill. I feel it's replicated well enough in these new events, but it's not all condensed in that one glorious week or 2 weeks, right?
Well, it's just a product of its time.
Yeah.
It's something special that existed, but like most things, they come to an end. And
as far as we know, E3 may survive.
Well, I'd be surprised. Maybe I'm eating my words in a couple of years, but pretty certain that now it is not going to be the way it was. But it's a wonderful thing to think about and talk about and reminisce in because there was just so many special moments and announcements attached to that event.
And mercifully and thankfully, a lot of it has been immortalized on the internet, at least until YouTube goes under.
Mm-hmm.
So you can go back and relive a lot of it, and people who weren't ever there might still get some thrill from it.
Yeah.
But I guess overall, it's like, we're sad to see it go. This week, we barely scratched the surface, even though we talked for like an hour.
Yeah.
So there's more to learn about E3. More to talk about. We're not going to do it though. I think we gotta.
I think we've talked about it enough. We've kind of hit the high points for us, and we'd love to hear from you what you thought of this video, but also what were some of your favorite E3 moments that maybe we didn't talk about.
Especially if you're more of a Sony or an Xbox or heaven forbid an Ubisoft fan. We didn't even talk about their presentations.
Yeah,
who gives a shit? But maybe you do.
Maybe there's something that like for you, just blew your mind away, and I would have never thought until I heard it from an actual fan's mouth, or text. But thanks for watching. We hope this video brought some good memories and was entertaining. And stay tuned for more videos in the future.
Bye.
See ya.